Alright guys, so this is Alan, GI Money Man over here, trying to help out with a video about prepared mindsets for the future. Some of the stuff we're going to cover in here is going to be about money and survival, going back and forth with a lot of stuff. This is my buddy Matt. He's going to help out a little bit, give us some information, so stick with it and let's get this video kicked off. Alright guys, so when we talk about prepared mindset, I want to give y'all a visual on this one. Now, prepared mindset, this right here is a bug out bag. This has got everything I need for about 3 days worth of survival out in the woods. I've got a tarp for shelter, I've got a poncho and rain gear, I've got a hammock for me to sleep in, fire source, medical stuff all inside of here, and we're going to go over a little bit in detail. Not breaking it out yet, that's a whole nother video coming down the way. But this has got everything I need in a situation of SHTF. If you don't know what that is, look it up. I'm trying to keep it kid friendly. But this is a worst case scenario. I need to leave where I am and go. I've got one for me, one for my girlfriend, one for my son. I've also got some in the car for emergency kits, and I've got a big tough box at the house that stays stocked with stuff. If I need to throw everything in the car and get out of Dodge in a hurry, I have things and prepared for that scenario. Now, talking about money-wise, money preparedness is just as crucial, and we're going to go back and forth with this. Now, let me show you these. This one right here is the little skinny one. Let me hold it up so you can see it on the cam. This is terrible lighting, my bad. But anyway, this right here is my fire kit. This one has multiple sources of tinder, fire starting capability from a Bic lighter to a Fresnel lens to a ferrocerium rod to lifeboat matches to paracord that's fire cord. I can actually make a bow drill fire out of that if I need to. You can pull the can up in the dip, man. I'm not worried about it. Now, this one is my everyday carry bag. It's the medium sized one. This goes with me in the truck all the time. This is never more than 20 or 30 yards from where I am at any given time. This is the equivalent of my get home bag. If I'm out and about and I don't want to carry the big bag, I throw this with me, day pack, whatever I need to. This will get me back to my camp, back to my house, from my vehicle to my house. If I'm broke down the side of the road, take care of what I need to. This has a little bit of everything, including a fire kit, a boo-boo kit, stuff for water sources if I'm out and I need to clean water so I can drink. And there's a whole video breaking this one down on the page, the Maxpedition EDC. This one is Big Bertha. This one is the biggest one of them all. This usually sits on my hip on the actual thing of the hip strap on my bug out bag. This is my trauma kit. This takes from the boo-boo kit up. And we're going to break into this a little bit so you can see kind of what's in here. I got a whole nother video about breaking this down for you.
That's a little more full than our iPad.
I got most of this from the iPad. I mean, look. Quick clot. Don't leave home without it. Cat tourniquet. Again, don't leave home without it. Now, the mindset on this one, this goes into detail of how to prepare for an oh crap situation. If I'm out at the range, this is right next to me, along with my EDC at all times. This is what goes with me and will help treat a wound, gunshot, artery severed, broken ankle, anything that comes up. This pack will work with it. Now in the military, we have the IFAK, the Individual First Aid Kit. Love the acronyms, just bear with me. But the IFAK has a lot of this stuff in it for individual first aid. The medic will have an advanced IFAK for him and a medic bag, which can handle a trauma bag, trauma kit. This is just a condensed version of it. I've also got a secondary Sawyer Mini inside of here. So if the patient or somebody else needs water, I have another way to get it to them.
Just a little side note, if you're not able to acquire one of these from the military because they're taking these back now and you have to go out and buy one, this thing is, I think, $12 to $14. They've got one that is a lot more sturdy, and this the little spindle is not plastic; it's made out of metal.
SkinnyMedic.com.
Yes, and it's only $3 more for a much higher quality
Now,
tourniquet.
just remember, if you go on Amazon and you look up cat tourniquet, you're gonna get what you see. Not a lot of it comes from America. Some of it's outsourced. Just be careful. If you want a quality source for any type of medical first aid, go to SkinnyMedic.com or look him up on Google. He's got a YouTube channel, does a lot of stuff. He actually puts together kits like this and sells them on his website with updates that you can buy for, like, say you're replacing your aspirin because the expiration date. Always look at those things, because if they're expired, do not use them. I don't care what anybody says. Expiration date means the world when it comes to medication because of the outcome not being the same. So always double check your expiration dates. But yes, definitely for quality medical stuff, we recommend Skinny Medic just because I have a lot of his stuff. That's where I actually got the Quick Clot from. But go to Skinny Medic and find him, get some stuff from him. He's based, I think, out of Washington or Oregon, one of those two on the West Coast. But he does a lot of good quality first aid, from the basic boo-boo kit for like 10 to 20 bucks all the way up to the advanced trauma roll that he does, which is something a combat medic would carry for almost $300. It covers everything. But prepared mindset when you're talking about survival. Now, in survival, we always roll with the basic concept of the rule of 3. 3 seconds without hope is the first and foremost. Always have a plan. If you have the EDC with you, that 3 seconds of hope is now increased. Anytime I go out, I have it just to have it. Now, when we're talking about money-wise, the 3 second rule without hope is your basic everyday spending. Now, Matt sat down with me about 3 years ago. We helped him out put together a good plan of stuff. I want you to see this. We're doing a video about prepared mindset. He walks in with a Rip It. Costs him $1. I mean, it's not a bad deal. But if you add that up, 1 a day, 5 days a week, 20 days a month, you're spending $20 on energy drinks. That's still a lot cheaper than most people's Red Bull, Monster, NOS, AMP, whatever addictions you have, including Starbucks. Think about what we're spending this money on, because that 3 seconds of hope is what nickel and dimes us to being broke every single paycheck. Now, moving on from 3 seconds of hope, you have 3 minutes without oxygen or in a harsh condition. Imagine being out in the wilderness and a storm front rolls through, or you're driving home in a snowstorm and all of a sudden you get blown off the road. Harsh conditions take up at a moment's notice, and we have to be prepared for those. In our mindset of survival, we have gear, equipment, wet weather jacket, wool sweater tucked under the seat in the car just in case, stuff like that. In the real world situation, when it comes to finance, the 3-minute rule is budgeting paycheck to paycheck. Minor expenses that we don't pay attention to are more crucial, because Benjamin Franklin said it best. His quote, "Be wary of small expenses, because even the littlest of leaks will bring down the grandest of ships." That right there is the 3 second rule. The 3-minute rule is looking at what we're doing paycheck to paycheck, how our budget is for the first of the month versus the later part of the month. If we have more bills coming out on the 1st, we need to set up money from the 15th to cover the difference. That right there is covered in the video on this channel called Budgeting for a Buffer. I suggest y'all check it out. Now, the other one is 3 days without water. Now, our body can last that, but in a situation where we're out in the wilderness, we're not always going to have access to fresh, clean water. What is the sporidium, any type of chemical agent, fungi that we don't see, microscopic organisms, things like that. Now, in the military, what do we do to combat that aspect?
We've got some chemical tablets that throw into a canteen. We have a canteen cup that we can actually put water in and boil.
Speaking of which, this right here is a Jimmy version of the Army canteen that we run with. You can actually buy these online that have a filter inside the top. So when you need to, you take your cap off, you drink water, it's pre-filtered up to, I think it's 0.999 for 100 gallons. You can find those on Amazon. Now, oh, I don't have it with me. Dang, I thought I did. Anyway, the cup that usually comes with it sits inside the canteen on the bottom. It's made of steel, so you can put it directly into the fire, and you put water in it and bring it to a small boil or a rolling boil. That will kill a lot of the organisms, bacteria, and some of the diseases, but it still needs to be filtered before you put it in there and afterwards when you drink it. Don't drink boiling water. Just hint, trust me, not good. Wait till you're at 140-degree temperature and you grab a bottle of water that's been sitting out all day. It's almost the same thing. Not fun.
Doesn't taste good either.
Now, when we're talking about preparing yourself for water consumption, first and foremost, chemical tablets in your dire situation. That will filter any type of chlorine or agent out of it. When you look at, I should have some in there somewhere, but it's buried. But that'll filter any type of agent or contaminant to the water. So you figure like swimming pools, basic streams, fresh flowing water, those will cover everything that the tablets will do. Beyond that, stagnant water, standing water, or water that has been pooled has more life inside of it. That's where this comes in. This is a Sawyer Mini water filter. You can get them from Walmart. It comes with a drink straw. You can put an actual water bottle on the end of it. It has a backflow syringe so you can flush it back out. And it's got a little nifty arrow on here. It's like the claymores for the infantry. If you don't know, it's facing you. Just keep that in mind. But anyway, it shows you which direction you're drinking from. Dirty on the bottom, flow to the top. Easy enough. Even the Marines can do it. You know,
Hey,
shots
no.
fired.
Hey, no.
Well, you're the best of both worlds. You're a prior Marine infantry, so it's okay. You don't eat crayons, you eat colored pencils because of the fiber.
Valid.
Now, this right here will filter up to 100,000 gallons is what they're claiming. I will trust it to about 1,000 gallons just before I replace it. It's got a really good taste. It tastes kind of like a zero water filter or a Brita water. It'll take care of what it needs to. It's the equivalent of the Life Straw, and for the price, I got 4 packs on Amazon, 4-pack deal, random assorted colors for $44.95 shipped, when they're almost 20 bucks a piece at Walmart. So talk about deal wise. Now looking at this will go with you anywhere you need to. It's light, it fits in the hand, and you can even gravity feed this. Now what I do is I carry a Camelback inside my bug out bag, and I bought additional clips for the male and female end with about 2 inches of tube on either side that's not hooked to anything. So if I got fresh water in the Camelback and then I run out and I need to drink dirty water, I can take the dirty water, stick it in the Camelback bladder, take this, plug the hose on either side, and connect my drink tube as I need to. So as I'm drinking from my drink tube, it filters in line. So it makes it even easier to use. But just keep that in mind. 3 days without water, always have a plan. Now when you're coming to financial woes, the 3 days without water still goes into our budgeting, but now we're pushing it a little further out. 3 days without water in the financial world accounts to a emergency fund. In case of an emergency, break the glass type situation. Now, Matt, when you were on leave, tell them what happened.
On the way to my buddy's house, my truck broke down, so I had to get money from somewhere to replace those parts.
Now, where did you pull the money from?
A lot of it was from my emergency savings.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you see this savings?
I did not. So what I do on the Navy Federal app, you can hide accounts that you have on there. So I have an emergency fund with allotment set up to where $200 a month goes into it. I don't see it because it's hidden. So it's kind of one of those things that it's out of sight, out of mind. And then something like that happens. I go, oh yeah, I've got money in that account. I pull up that account and
being prepared, just like anything else. You can be prepared with an everyday carry. You can be prepared with a medical kit. You can be prepared with a fire kit. That's perfectly fine. But if you don't know how to use it, you're SOL. Now, you can practice anything in the survival world except medical. You don't want to practice a severed artery and a quick clot and a tourniquet. It just doesn't work. You can pretend, but you're not going to do a real live session like you would if you were going to the range, live firing your handgun or your concealed carry to actually get better acquisition on the target. Now, in his case, hiding money is just as important as anything else we do. When we look at spending money, Warren Buffett said it best. Don't look at how much you can save after you spent all your money, which is what we normally do, which is what Dave Ramsey says. Spend your money on your bills, budget money for food, whatever's left over goes back to debt to get it paid off early. Don't do that, because savings is fun as long as you're having fun saving. And this is where Warren Buffett comes in. Don't focus on how much you can save after you spend your money. Focus on how much you can spend after you saved your money. Treat your savings like a bill. You don't want to pay your cell phone bill late because they'll turn your phone off. You don't want to miss a truck payment because the repo man comes and repo man. Yeah, anyway, your truck's gone. You don't want to miss an insurance payment because you'll lapse coverage. Treat your savings the same way. It should be more important than a car note. It should be more important than a cell phone bill. It should be more important than a Wi-Fi bill. Your savings is the only bill that you have to pay for yourself. Otherwise, nobody else is going to pay it for you. So adjust your budget to the savings. Now, when you're putting money away from your side, you're not seeing where it's going. What do you do with what's left?
Well, first I pay my bills, and then whatever I have left, then it kind of sort of becomes the save with after I get done spending, because I've already set up my initial savings. Mm-hmm. So now I'm very frugal on what I spend on. Yeah, I buy my 99-cent Rip It, but I get that maybe twice a week, so $10 a month.
Now, keep this in mind. There are multiple accounts that everybody needs, and if you look at the budgeting for a buffer video, it'll go into detail about some of them. First and foremost, you need an account to pay bills out of. It's how you purchase items or pay your bills. Secondly, you need a savings account as a backup to your checking account. That's your overdraft. If we're putting this in order, the 3 seconds without hope is your checking account. The 3 minutes without air or in harsh condition is your savings account attached to the checking account. The emergency fund is 3 days without water. This is where you put money up for an oh crap situation down the road, like a car repair. So if something pops up, you're not stranded with no money, you're not having to depend on loans or credit cards, and you actually have funds that can handle the situation and put less stress onto your financial well-being. So those are the three, basics that we're talking about. Now, the next step is 3 weeks without food. Body can survive for 3 weeks on its own reserves. Me, I'm probably going about 3 months, just saying, right? But in an optimal situation, the average person can stand 3 weeks without any type of nutrition coming into their body. It's not pleasant, but it can be done. Now, when we look at that with money-wise or financial-wise, 3 weeks without food kind of equates to a 5 to 10 year savings plan, be it a CD, a life insurance, an annuity, or some sort of guaranteed secure fund that you're stiffing money into that'll be there 5, 10, or 15 years down the road. Now, when you're hiding money, not seeing it helps there, right? Now, talk to them about the one you have.
So, the TWA account that I have, I throw $268 into it a month. And I don't have it's very hard for me to access that money. And you have to put in so much a year to keep that account alive.
Now, real quick, what he's talking about is a modified universal life insurance with a cash fund attached to it. The cash fund is accessible with a tax-free withdrawal equating to deposit, so whatever you put in, you can pull out tax-free. Or you could do a line of credit against the cash value, tax-free as well. If you're not familiar with it, look it up on Investopia, right? Or you can ask questions in the comments, and I'll be back through over the next couple of days answering as many as I can. But what he's talking about is a modified universal life insurance that has a cash fund that gains interest off of all the money he puts into it.
So, like I was saying, I put the $268 a month in there, and we are in August. and I've already hit the mark of how much I had put in for the year. I forgot about the account, and then one day me and you were talking about it, and I said, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that account." Well, you had me pull up my account, and I seen that I had about $2,500 extra in that account. So the amount that I had put in there that I have to put in there, I can't touch it, but I had $2,500 extra dollars in there that I'm free to do whatever I want with. I can pull it out if I want. I mean, that stops $2,500
Worth of interest.
Worth of interest.
Now,
or I can take out a loan against myself.
What he's talking about is the way this universal life insurance works is you put a surcharge, which is a minimum yearly deposit. You have a maximum that you cannot exceed, so it gives you kind of like a left and right buffer. But as you're putting money into it, everything that goes in pays for the account to stay alive and gains and accrues interest. As this builds, you're limited to access for the first 10 years. Right now you're in what, year 3?
Year 3.
Okay. So he has almost 50% access to what he's invested so far. So as he goes through more time, he'll gain more access over that time frame, and it'll continuously build for him. Now, let's say if an emergency did pop up, even after he spent the $700 on his car or on the truck repair, if another emergency popped up, he has access to that money, and he can use that either as a withdrawal like he was talking about, or a loan, and he can borrow against its value and pay back over time at leisure. It's not like going and taking a signature loan. One of the guys that I sat down with about a month or two ago, he had a 760 credit score and did a $7,000 signature loan from Navy Federal at 18% interest. If he was to borrow against his universal life insurance, it would only charge him 2% interest, no matter what your credit score is. So it's kind of an advantage there. It'll act as a secondary emergency fund if the need arises. But that's, again, the 5 or 10 years down the road, let it build up, and then utilize that account as a tool to purchase items using the value as collateral for a loan and continuously letting it build over time to a larger portion. Now, that covers the basic rules of 3. Now, some things in survival kind of mix in. Medical comes into that a little bit. Everyday carry or concealed weapons, ammo, stuff like that comes into it. Now, continuing forward, like we were talking about with training. Now, in the military, we train. We train some more, we train a lot more, and then we get stuck training again even though we don't want to, and then they force us to train a little bit more just to have that muscle memory. That's the key. But the problem with the military is we train for combat scenarios, combat drills, basic MOS drills, and what we need to survive in a wartime situation. We do not train on the other stuff. We do not train about how to use the VA loan. We do not train about how to use money as collateral like I was talking about. We do not train on how to save and budget properly. And in the military, the dissemination of information usually comes from, like, you're in E5, you would talk to your guys on sergeant time training or Joe training or bro training or whatever they call it depending on the unit you're at. It's 1 day a week. You have a training block of 3 to 5 hours where you set up a training class depending on what you're doing and going over details. And one of those classes may be finance, but you're also learning it from a PowerPoint, a scripted presentation, or something somebody else wrote that you had to learn that you can tell your guys. And then it pretty much trickled down aspect. From the bro training or the NCO upper echelon training, you have finance or ACS. Finance will help you out with pay issues. ACS will help you out with slight budgeting, using your TSP or blended retirement system, and building up, an emergency relief loan if you needed money for an emergency. Outside of that, there's really nobody else there to help you unless you look for it. Now, in my situation, I'm a financial coach. I start from the basics and move forward. Now, Matt can tell you on this one, when we sat down, we identified the budget and everything he had going on, found the gaps that he needed to fill for the emergency, for a midterm savings or something that would build up for a 5 to 10 year plan, and a retirement option. We don't start the retirement right yet, because putting all your eggs at the end of the race with all your gear and standing over here naked ready to run it, it's kind of defeating the purpose. So you got to have money up front, to plan for the next 5 to 10 years before you start worrying about 30 or 40 years down the road. But as a financial coach, we identified those holes, we helped fill those gaps, and then we capitalized on top of it as a phase structure, just like we do in the military. Phase 1 training or basic rifleman skills. You got to learn how to do the diamond washer drill before you can get on the range. Proper sight acquisition, proper trigger squeeze, 3 to 5 second rush for bounding. All of it is set up as a phase style to build you up to that level. Same thing with a financial coach. In my mind, I'm here to help you step by step in this process and help you any way I need to, any way you need it, and customize a plan to fit your budget. Now, going back on the training aspect of it, when we sat down and we started working with it, how easy was it to adapt that mindset of saving as a bill?
It wasn't. It took me away from what I knew and what I had been doing for so long. Now I had to basically relearn and basically reacquire my target. Because I had to take from the mindset of I'm going to spend on what I want because I know there's a guaranteed paycheck, and not thinking 5 to 10 years down the road, to now I had to sit back and go, okay, I can't spend on everything that I want because the time that it comes for me to get out of the military, the time that it comes for an emergency to come up, I'm not prepared for it, and I need to get prepared.
Right. Now, how old are you, Matt?
24.
Okay. Now, what rank are you in the military?
A sergeant.
Okay. Now, take this into mindset. I was an E4. Matt is an E5, right? Those are the different pay grades across the board. I know Navy and Marines and Airmen, they have different call signs as opposed to sergeant, corporal, lance, all that stuff. Our pay grades, I was an E4, he was an E5. The difference of pay on the exact same time in service is about $300. It comes out to about $287 difference in pay. Now, Matt was living right here with his pay right. He was living right on his means. What I showed him how to do was stop living here and start living back at that E4 pay. That right there kind of tricks the mindset a little bit, and it seems counterintuitive. But everybody wants to be here and get paid the same. If you drop yourself to living at a lower pay grade, give yourself a pay cut, in essence, you can use the difference of money to force into savings, which is what we had to do with Matt to get him into that mindset to build it. Now, moving forward from there, every time you get promoted, you only go up the rank below what you are. That right there will help you build up your savings without seeing the effect on your spending. All you have to do is be disciplined and create that mindset of money management. And that's one of the things that I do is I help coach you through this process. Because I remember he called me a bunch of times talking about, hey, I got this, what about that? What about foreign coin exchange and GDAX and Bitcoin and all this other stuff. Everything I can say on that is if you're going to put money into a high risk investment, be prepared to lose it. It's the equivalent of gambling. Especially when it came to Bitcoin. Think about it at the turn of the year. Back in December, it was going from, I want to say the end of November, it was around 10,000 a coin. And it spiked through the middle of December to about 19,000 a coin. Now, if you jumped into it right then, you would have been able to ride that wave up and sell out and make a profit. It took 20 minutes from it to go to 19,000 a coin to 12,000 a coin. If you would have missed that 20-minute window because you were in formation or you were in the motor pool and you couldn't grab your phone, or let's say you were sleeping and you didn't pay attention to it, if you missed that window, you missed that opportunity. So when you look at stocks or coin exchange or Bitcoin cryptocurrencies, you have to watch it 24/7 and be prepared to move on the dime. We just can't do that in the military. We can't drop and go whenever we need to because, hey, you detail comes up and we're out there supervising soldiers picking weeds out of the rocks for area beautification. Well, while we're doing that, we're not allowed to be on our cell phone. And right then, our stock went down 15 points, which cost you $150. If that's your retirement plan, imagine that on a full scale. So having stuff in place will help before the retirement aspect comes in. Just like when we're talking about all of these. Everything we do to prepare for our situations, if the need arises, is the same concept as financial management. Having a coach guide you through that is the same concept of any type of sports team. Somebody that is more knowledgeable than you is giving you free advice, free information, and helping you along that process. I am not licensed as a financial advisor. I am enrolled in a chartered financial consultant course that is projected to end on the 2019-2020 course line. I just have to get credits and training hours before I can hold the certification. I do not claim that because I haven't acquired that yet. I am a financial coach, and all I'm here to do is educate, motivate, and guide. And Matt can tell you that. Changing people's mindsets, little by little, are the way things work. That's the best part of my job, is I get to meet people and help them prepare for their future. Now, training-wise, you can train for everything. You can train for any situation. You should be doing the exact same training when it comes to your money. And that's the most important part. That's what this whole video is about, guys. Preparing yourself into the mindset of your future. Do not plan for the retirement you can achieve in the pay grade you are. Plan for the retirement you want and focus your energy to get there. Now, Matt, think of it this way. Before you sat down with me, you had an idea of where you were going, right? Now, do you see the difference that 3 years caused with the plan that we put in place?
Absolutely.
Do you see the same retirement, or do you see a better retirement?
A better retirement.
Now, keeping that into mindset, Matt's only 24. He is still at that cusp where he needs to start planning for his future, even in retirement at this young of an age. But if you're only planning for retirement and saving your money at your savings account, like Matt was doing when he first started with me, you're missing that gap. All I do is help you achieve the bridge to success step by step. And I'm there to help you the whole way. So, looking at that, try to keep that in mind when we're planning for our future. Survival, target acquisition, rate of fire, combat drills, basic bushcraft, anything you could think of to survive on your own in the wild, you need to relate that to your finances. And you need to prepare for your future. Because if you're not going to do it, nobody else is.
You know, one thing that every time that we do any kind of training in the military, it's the crawl, walk, run method. And whether it's training in the military or whether it comes to finances, we all just want to run. We want to meet that goal as quickly as possible. And we start to understand the crawl, walk, run method in the military. But going back to my mindset change, you know, I was wanting to run before I crawled and before I walked. So when we sat down and we essentially went through the crawl, walk, run, and now I'm still not to the run. I'm getting into the walk. I'm finally out of the crawling stage.
Everything's becoming more manageable.
Right.
See, the biggest thing about financial planning is just like jumping off the diving board into the deep end without arm floaties. If you don't have a plan, you're not going to make it. So setting up a basic budget, setting up a basic buffer system for when this paycheck is light, this paycheck needs to have money there just to cover it. Setting up a basic savings. All of those are preventative measures that we need to put in place, and we need to be in that mindset. When we start getting out of the crawl phase, that's when we start implementing these mindsets into reality. Saving where it's out of sight, out of mind. Forcing yourself to treat savings as a bill. Living below your means and adjusting your budget to your savings, not the other way around. If you're adjusting your savings towards your budget, you're doing it wrong. Savings should be the first thing you pay because you're paying yourself first. Now, going forward with the phases as we continue to go. Even me, I'm not in the run phase. I don't think anybody is. You're always learning every step of the way. Every day, if you do not take something away from an encounter or a situation, or think the length of this video, if you didn't learn something sitting down and watching our, retarded people appear on camera, if you didn't learn something from us just from spending your time watching this video, in my eyes, that was a waste of time. And I apologize for that because I didn't educate you. But in any situation, if you take away any ounce of education from the interaction you have in life, that to me is golden and worth more than any paper rectangle can buy. Now, thinking of that on the same mindset, always walk and learn more. Always take the adventure step by step. Take the income day by day. Take the planning week by week. Have an idea of where you want to go 3 years from now. Think about it like this. When you sat down with me, your budget was so scattered, it wasn't even funny. He had, and I'm not even joking, he had, I think it was 6 different types of accounts at 3 different banks and only had 2 checking. Don't know why, but he had it all over the place. So think of a scatter shot from a shotgun. That was his plan for budgeting. What we did was took that and reduced it and started baby steps. That was where our crawl phase came in. First step, condense what we have, focus our energy onto what we absolutely need, and then add as we go. So as we're crawling, you're learning how to walk step by step. Going into the walk phase, which you're pretty much in right now, is understanding the budget, adjusting to it, and learning how to manage it. That's like, again, jumping into the deep end, but this time you have a life jacket on just in case you can't swim to the edge of the pool. That's the walk phase. As we get better at it, the life jacket comes off, we start doing tricks, next thing you know somebody's doing a jackknife onto the tube, and yeah. But anyway, summer days, right?
Right.
But so as we keep going forward with this, our mindset is constantly evolving and expanding with knowledge. On my side, that's all I do is I learn. I read every day. I look at different stuff on the internet, Investopia, all the articles. There's a beautiful app that you can get for Android, and I think they have it for Apple devices called Flipboard. It's a digital version of media at your disposal of a fingertip. You can choose the topics. All the different articles and stories will come to your phone on said topic. And you can flip through articles that are updated daily about this topic. So it's just like having a old-fashioned newspaper stand with magazines on your tablet or device. It is beautiful, and that's one of the biggest resources you can have. Knowledge is power. Obtaining knowledge is godly. And if you can't obtain knowledge from any source, something's wrong. And the only thing I can say is keep trying. Don't stop. Now, think of it on this side with you. Same thing I had with another guy I sat down with about 3 weeks, I want to say about 3 to 4 weeks ago, right? Similar situation, multiple accounts spread out, helped him condense everything down to focal point accounts. So we had just, I want to say we got rid of like 6 to 3, kind of like what we did with you. Mm-hmm. Brought it all in together and helped him focus where he needed to put priority. From there, 3 weeks later, he comes back, he's like, dude, this is the best thing I could have done. Now I know where all my money's going. Now I have a budget plan. I don't see this account, and it's already grown over these last 2 paychecks. I didn't even intend it. I've adjusted my budget to meet what I have, and I've watched my spending. I'm still spending a little bit more than I need to, but that's gonna come with time. It's not an overnight switch. From that, we started into phase 2. We started focusing more money, each paycheck, into these types of accounts. And we created a savings program that would last him for the rest of his life and constantly grow, kind of like the TWA he did. It's another account that builds for him. But getting all of this put together is part of that process. You have to start somewhere, and that first step is the most crucial. It's also the hardest. So don't give up. Even after you take the first step, if you stumble a little bit, stand back up, take a breath, and move forward again. Adjust and overcome. What's the phrase we say in the Army? Adapt or improvise.
Improvise, adapt, and overcome.
There you go.
I know I have struggled with it. I still struggle with it, and I know a lot of people struggle with it. Is we fail, we fall down, and we say this is too hard. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
But the only way to succeed is to fail again, and keep failing until you do succeed.
Will Smith said that in one of his quotes. There's a little snippet, it was going all over social media. Be okay if you fail. Always fail, but always fail forward. If you don't keep trying, you're never going to fail. And if you stop on the first failure, we wouldn't have air conditioning. We wouldn't have penicillin. We wouldn't have any of the creature comforts we have today.
We wouldn't have light bulbs.
Yeah. Edison failed numerous times when he was trying to do his light bulbs. Look at, what was the phone guy? Graham Bell. Graham Bell had patents on almost 300 different devices for the first phone before he got to one that worked. Now we have mobile devices that you're probably watching this video on right now, all because he did not give up. Same thing with you. Fail. It's okay to fail as long as you fail forward. Learn from your mistakes, adapt to the situation, overcome the adversity, and improvise as needed to survive. Always moving forward. Just keep swimming.
Right? I think that was a Dory quote.
Yeah, something like that. I got kids, it's okay. I'm a dad. Anyway, so as long as you keep moving, that's the most important part. Now, I know this video is long, it was a lot of information, there are a lot of key points, but take it in stride. If you need to, go back and watch it a couple of times. Learn from this. Ask questions, jot down things. You can find me on social media at the GI Money Man on all platforms, or you can message me directly from my website, armedservicesmarketinggroup.com. That right there gives you the link to where you can message me and we can interact one-on-one, and I can help you out with an array of situations, a little bit of advice if need be, or actually sitting down face-to-face. Take advantage of the situation and the opportunity, because that's what it's there for. Now, keeping this in the stride is what we're doing. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because every video that I do, I give away a $25 gift card to the commenters after 1 week. I randomly select it with a generator, and we give it away just like we do most of our prizes for the actual company that I run, Armed Services Marketing Group. All of our prizes are random generated from entries. Same process. Leave a comment, like and share, and new subscribers get a $50 gift card every batch of 100 that we get. So if you're not already subscribed, do so. Now, going off on this and closing it up, there's 3 things I want you to keep in mind. 1, have a plan and stick to it. No matter if that's in finances or survival, always have a plan, because without a plan, it's chaos. 2, practice. No matter what you're doing, you need to be proficient in your tasks. If you don't know how to start a fire with a ferrocerium rod, practice it. If you don't know how to stop spending money, practice it. Hide the money from you. All right? There's a video I did about Dave Ramsey's envelope system sucks. It's just because the system itself was old, and I took it and revamped it to the modern era of digital payments. Take a look at that video, because that goes over a lot of that mindset. Practice makes perfect, and if you're not proficient, you're dead. Now, step number 3, and this is the most I want you to take advice on. If you want advice on any situation, always do your own due diligence of research. No matter what it is. If it's coming from me, if it's coming from Dave Ramsey, Warren Buffett, Investopia, Money Matters, any type of source that you get your information on, always do your research, because your research separates the difference. Do your research, no matter what it is. Same thing. Look at chicken nuggets from McDonald's. Google McDonald's chicken nuggets and look at the first video that pops up. It is a video of Grant Imahara going to the Tyson Chicken Factory, explaining the process of chicken nuggets and how they're made from raw chicken to actual nugget. That whole video cost about $4 billion from McDonald's to produce, just so they can discredit a claim that chicken nuggets are made from pig slime. No matter what your research is, guys, you're having paid advertising, paid slander, and then in the middle, keyboard warriors that regurgitate whatever the side they pick. You're only going to find about 10% of truth anywhere on the internet. Always do your research. Comments you can't trust. Just remember that. Go on Amazon. Look at any comic you see on Amazon, right? Perfect example. The whole video that we're doing right now started from one of my guys getting ready to create a bug out bag. And I was helping him do this. Well, he ordered 2 K-bars from Amazon. They were $30 a piece. These K-bars came in from China. China.
So not K-bars.
It says China on the stamp. K-A-B-A-R. All lowercase. Now, the history of K-Bar, they've changed their name numerous ways, especially when they're the Olean or the cutlery company that they had before the new acquisition of K-Bar came out. They've tried uppercase, lowercase, dash, no dash, full uppercase, all different kinds of stuff. K-Bar knife is iconic in the way it was, and because of the iconicness that it has, it's been replicated to death by knockoffs and imitations. The true K-Bar comes from Olean, New York, and is 1095 core vein steel. There's a Navy version that is 420A stainless steel. And the only difference is stainless steel won't rust on the sea ships, whereas 1095 core vein is high carbon and it will actually rust just sitting still. Now, the durability of both knives is almost identical. You couldn't break one or the other in any different test that we could do. The trade-off of it is, because of that iconicness from the World War I and World War II eras, as it became more popular with the military community, it has been mimicked to death. And this is the perfect example. Read a bunch of the reviews, they were all positive reviews, a couple of pictures on there, perfect aspects. Bought the knives, got them here, held the knife, grabbed the pommel, and it would do this. It would just rock back and forth. From China, crafted to mimic the K-Bar you would get from New York as American made, $30 versus the $67.50 that the actual K-Bar is selling as. The commenters have an Amazon Associates account, and they got paid for leaving a good comment. They got the refund of the $27 that they paid for that K-Bar just for leaving a good comment to get a higher rating on the score. That right there comes into the same aspect of research. That keyboard warrior was paid advertiser for the company. He regurgitated what he was told to regurgitate and got compensated for such. Because of that, we now have 2 K-bars that are equivalent to paperweights, because I won't trust them for anything because they rattle when you hold them. So just keep that in mind when you do your research on anything. That doesn't matter if it's a product from Amazon or the bank you're actually banking with. Ask questions. If they're not willing to answer them, find somebody that will at a different location. All right. So keep all of that in mind as we go forward with this. Just remember, like, comment, and share. And if you got questions, you have multiple sources to get a hold of me. All the links will be in the description of all of my social media, my website, and a direct email that you can hit me up on if you have questions. And I'll be answering the comments as we go. So as we go forward with this, multiple videos will be coming out on same topics. You might see Matt a couple of times coming back on different things. It is just a way to express information, guys. Now, knowledge is power. If you can obtain it, it's godlike. Just keep that in mind. So thinking about everything that we went over so far, Matt, what do you see? Anything need to change, update, different stuff we need to do?
Are you talking about it as far as my budget, so I mean, yeah, there's always changes to be made. And don't look at a budget or your finance plan as something set in stone. Budgets, finance plans, they're like a liquid. They're always changing. They're always being modified. Life happens. You either get paid more, you get paid less. Something's going to happen to where your finance plan is going to have to change. And one of the biggest things that I had to learn from that is that, hey, I just got promoted, or hey, I'm getting out of the military soon. Something's going to change. So I guess one of the biggest things that people see whenever they sit down with a finance advisor or finance coach is, okay, this is what he said, I'm going to take that as gold. And like you said, do your own research. If you don't do your own research, and if I didn't do my own research and took everything you said as 100% gold and factual, and there's something that I forgot to tell you that seems small. Well, that something small turns into something big eventually.
No. Good point on that. Somebody I sat down with about 4 months ago. Set him up with a good budget plan, a good savings program. We were putting money into the emergency fund. Calls me up about 2 to 3 weeks ago. And something came up and made a tweak in his pay. He got back from NTC, and they being married at the rotation of NTC. In the military, you get basic allowance for housing, basic allowance for supplements, and family separation when separated over 250 miles from your home duty station or a family member. Now, being stationed at Fort Riley, NTC is outside that range, so they got the family separation pay. But because they had to feed you while you're at NTC, they reduced the basic allowance for substance for the food to a lower number. Well, they didn't budget for that. Altogether, he lost by 1 month in NTC about a total of $170 in his budget from that adjustment. His wife couldn't figure out what happened, he didn't realize what happened, and their savings plan went down the crapper. Called me up, said, hey, I don't know what's going on, we need to fix this. So I sat down with him, we did some budgeting, figured out what was going on. The savings plan he was putting money into his emergency fund was there for this reason, and he was able to make his cell phone payment because that $170 was going to go to AT&T. Well, he had to pull it out of his savings to make that payment, which is the definition of the emergency fund. Just because there's a hiccup or a stumble on the road, don't throw your hands up in the air and quit. Continue to work through the problem, adapt to the situation, and overcome the obstacle to improvise if needed. Perfect example. So, moving forward on everything that we have to do, going into your phases and different steps moving forward, if y'all have questions, ask them. Alright, that's what I'm here for. Any other aspect of the videos, if y'all want to see new content coming out, or if there's a specific video that you want to look at my Patreon page. That right there is the easiest way to support doing stuff like this, so that way I can make a video specific for what's going on. I've got videos planned for IRAs, video planned for 401ks, explanations of the TSP and the blended retirement system for the military. I've got video plans for different types of bank savings, CDs, how to use money as collateral. The list goes on, guys. If you have something specific that you want to see, leave a comment, shoot me a message, find me on social media, and track what's going on so that way I can get that video for you. Or at least get you information to start the process before I have time to sit down, film, edit, and move. Because I do own a business that I got to work at as well. So keep that in mind. If I don't get back to you right away, give me time. I will get back to you as soon as I can. Alright? So, signing off. Matt, it was a pleasure. We'll get another one going. Guys, if y'all got questions, feel free to ask. So this is Alan with the GI Money Man. See you later.